Welcome, intrepid listeners, to Into the Paradox, the show where we pull back the veil on the inexplicable, the anachronistic, and the utterly baffling. Tonight, we journey deep into a place where time seems to bend, where the ancient past might just be echoing in the vibrant, pulsating present, the Amazon rainforest. For centuries, whispers have emerged from its impenetrable depths, tales of creatures that shouldn't exist, beasts from a forgotten era, dinosaurs stalking the modern world. Are these just legends, the product of overactive imaginations, or is there something genuinely primal, genuinely impossible, thrumming beneath the verdant canopy? Joining me today to confront this extraordinary claim, we have an incredible panel. First, Vasna, a seasoned explorer whose expeditions have taken her to some of the planet's most untouched and challenging environments. Vasna, welcome.
Thanks, Peter. It's good to be here, and even better to be talking about something that's captivated me for decades.
Next, we have Anastasia, a brilliant historian and researcher whose work often delves into the intersection of ancient cultures, folklore, and unexplained phenomena. Anastasia, your insights will be invaluable.
Thank you, Peter. The Amazon's indigenous narratives are a treasure trove, and often what we dismiss as myth holds a kernel of truth.
And finally, our resident mystery seeker and occult specialist, Tom. Tom, you've investigated everything from shadowy organizations to spectral manifestations. Does the idea of living dinosaurs in the Amazon fit into your realm of the unexplained?
Peter, the unexplained is my home, and the idea of apex predators thriving in a hidden corner of our world, defying extinction, that's not just a paradox, it's a profound challenge to our understanding of reality itself. I'm all in.
Excellent. Let's dive in. Vasna, you've spent significant time in the Amazon. From an explorer's practical perspective, how plausible is it that a large, previously unknown species, let alone a dinosaur, could remain undiscovered in this day and age?
Plausible. Peter, the Amazon is colossal. We're talking about an area larger than Western Europe, dense with vegetation, river systems that shift seasonally, and vast regions mapped only by satellite imagery, not by human footsteps. The sheer scale, the incredible biodiversity, the speed at which the jungle reclaims everything, it's the perfect hiding place. I've trekked for weeks without seeing another soul, through territory where the tree canopy is so thick, the ground is in perpetual twilight. If something is elusive, intelligent, and knows how to avoid humans, it absolutely could exist.
Ela favorecer assim coisas todas que obigita establishment i illusion, surumto. Linassa. And a possibility. El governors can kind of stage on our voice thing. I mean, that scale is almost impossible to grasp. Even with modern technology, saying that ground-level exploration is still the only way to truly understand what's there, and even then it's a needle in a haystack situation.
Exactly. Satellites can show us the canopy, map the rivers, but they can't tell you what's moving underneath, what's hidden in a forgotten oxbow lake or a cave system. The jungle is a master of camouflage. You can be 10 feet from something massive and not even know it. Plus, the logistics of mounting a deep expedition are mind-boggling. It's expensive, dangerous, and physically grueling. Few people have the means or the desire to penetrate the truly untouched zones.
Anastasia, tying into that, what do indigenous legends and historical accounts tell us about these kinds of creatures? Are these recent fabrications, or is there a longer tradition of such stories?
Oh, this isn't recent at all. Across numerous Amazonian tribes, from the Matses to the Yanomami, there are stories passed down through generations of colossal reptilian beings. They have different names: the Malgolo, the Curupira, or simply the Great Serpent. These aren't just mythical beasts like a dragon in European lore. They are often described as flesh and blood creatures, sometimes tied to specific locations or waterways. Some accounts even feature illustrations or petroglyphs that bear uncanny resemblances to sauropods or theropods. The continuity and consistency of these narratives suggest something more than pure fantasy. These are often warning through
And let's not forget the Lost World narratives that sprung up in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Arthur Conan Doyle's novel, for instance, wasn't just pulled from thin air. It drew upon widely circulating, albeit sensationalized, reports from explorers and missionaries returning from unexplored regions. The human imagination is powerful, but it often needs a seed of reality to blossom into such vivid, persistent narratives. These aren't just isolated whispers. They're an echo chamber of fascination across cultures and generations.
Exactly. Some of the earliest European chroniclers in the Amazon, like the Spanish conquistador Francisco de Orellana in the 16th century, recorded indigenous tales of immense, fearsome creatures. While we can't take every account at face value, exaggeration was common. The underlying theme of massive, unknown reptiles persists across centuries and diverse cultures who had no contact with each other. That's statistically significant, wouldn't you say?
That's a fascinating point, Tom. Vasna, you've mentioned hearing tales from local communities. Have you ever personally encountered anything that made you question the known boundaries of zoology?
A slight pause, a hint of something unsaid. I've heard sounds, Peter, that don't belong to any known animal. Deep, resonant roars that shake the very ground. Not an anaconda, not a jaguar, nothing I've ever identified. I've seen massive, inexplicable tracks near remote riverbanks. Three-toed, heavy, far too large for any tapir or capybara. And there's a feeling in some of the most isolated valleys, a sense of immense age, of being watched by something ancient. One time, my guides, seasoned hunters who fear nothing, refused to go further into a particular swamp, citing a presence that was too old, too powerful. They spoke of a creature with a long neck that would snatch fish from the water's surface, leaving colossal ripples. It was enough to make you shiver, even in the humid heat.
That sounds terrifying and exhilarating. I can only imagine the primal fear that must stir. Anastasia, from a scientific perspective, what would it take for such creatures to survive? We're talking about millions of years of evolutionary change, climate shifts, the asteroid impact.
It would require a perfect storm of isolation and ecological stability. The Amazon's geological age, its immense size, and its relative protection from the most catastrophic global shifts could create such a refuge. Think of the coelacanth, a fish thought extinct for 65 million years, rediscovered alive and well. Or the kakapo, a giant flightless parrot from New Zealand, also thought extinct. They kiss deep, untouched pockets where an ecosystem could persist, protected from invasive species and human disturbance.
It's a long shot, but not an impossible one.
But it seems tough, especially for a creature that could adapt to the specific conditions of a vast river system or a hidden plateau. For land animals, you'd need a consistent and abundant food source, of course, and a population large enough to maintain genetic diversity, perhaps spread across a vast interconnected network of waterways or territories.
And let's extend that thought, Anastasia. What if it's not simply an evolutionary holdover? What if the paradox is deeper? We're talking about the Amazon, a place brimming with ancient energies, forgotten knowledge, and perhaps even dimensional anomalies. Some indigenous shamans speak of traversing different realities. What if these creatures aren't just from our past, but are sometimes slipping into our present from another layer of existence, or a timeline where they never vanished? It sounds wild, I know, but if we're truly into the paradox, we must consider all forms of the inexplicable.
That's certainly pushing the boundaries, Tom. While I appreciate the expansive thinking, let's bring it back to the empirical for a moment. Vasna, you've faced real dangers in the jungle. How do these legends, these feelings, affect your approach? Do you truly believe there could be something out there?
Belief isn't really part of an explorer's toolkit. Observation and evidence are. But the possibility shapes everything. It makes you more cautious, more alert. You learn to respect the unknown. When you hear a story about a great water serpent that can overturn canoes, you might give a wider berth to a certain stretch of river. When you see a strange break in the vegetation, you don't just dismiss it. Do I believe there is a T-Rex roaming? Probably not. But could there be a large, previously unknown reptile, perhaps a descendant of a smaller Mesozoic lineage that grew to immense size in isolation? Absolutely. The jungle holds its secrets tightly, and it fights to keep them. I've been in situations where the atmosphere itself felt wrong, a heaviness, a silence that wasn't natural. You learn to trust those instincts, especially when the locals are visibly disturbed.
It sounds like the environment itself dictates a certain humility. Anastasia, what about photographic or video evidence? In the age of smartphones and sophisticated cameras, why haven't we seen definitive proof?
It's the classic cryptid dilemma. The conditions for capturing undeniable evidence in the Amazon are incredibly difficult. The humidity, the rapid decomposition, the dense foliage, the poor light, the sheer scale of the environment, it all conspires against clean documentation. Think about how difficult it is to get clear footage of even known elusive animals like jaguars. Now imagine something much larger, potentially nocturnal or extremely shy, in a region where few people ever venture with high-tech equipment, let alone stumble upon something so extraordinary. And if a tribe does have clear evidence, they might have compelling reasons, cultural, spiritual, or protective, not to share it with the outside world. To them, these creatures are often sacred or incredibly dangerous, and not something to be exploited by outsiders.
And let's not overlook the human element. The very desire for definitive proof can lead to hoaxes. But the lack of proof doesn't automatically negate the existence. It often just means the mystery is well guarded. Perhaps the creatures don't want to be found, or perhaps there are forces at play, natural or otherwise, that actively obscure their presence. The Amazon isn't just a place, it's practically a living entity with its own rules. Think about the pareidolia effect, where we see patterns in randomness. A blurry photo could be anything, but that doesn't mean nothing was there.
So, to summarize, we have pervasive indigenous legends, reports from experienced explorers, and the undeniable fact that vast untouched regions exist, yet no definitive, universally accepted proof. Vasna, if you had unlimited resources and ultimate freedom, what would be your next step in pursuit of these paradoxical beasts?
I'd focus on specific regions identified by multiple indigenous accounts. I'd deploy long-term autonomous camera traps, not just for visible light, but thermal and acoustic sensors, covering vast territories. These would be strategically placed by people who know the jungle intimately, not just random spots. And I'd work even more closely with the local tribes, building trust, learning their subtle signs, their deep knowledge of the land. They are the eyes and ears of the jungle. If anything is out there, they know it. It wouldn't be about hunting the creature, but observing it, understanding its role in the ecosystem, and ultimately, protecting it if it exists.
That approach sounds both scientific and deeply respectful. And Anastasia, what more could history and research tell us?
We need more interdisciplinary work. Paleontologists need to look beyond the fossil record in standard sites and consider the possibility of microhabitats of survival. Historians and anthropologists need to continue documenting and properly interpreting indigenous knowledge, not just as quaint folklore, but as potentially vital ecological and zoological data. And we need to protect these regions now, before human expansion destroys any chance of proving or disproving these incredible claims. Losing the environment means losing the possibility of discovery and the knowledge held by the indigenous people. It's a race against time, really. My focus would be on the energetic signatures of these regions. Their unusual electromagnetic fields, gravitational anomalies, places where the veil between worlds is thinner. Because if these aren't just lost species, but something more temporally or dimensionally complex, then our instruments need to be tuned to more than just the physical. The Amazon holds many secrets beyond just its flora and fauna. I'd be looking for subtle shifts in reality itself, thin spots where the impossible becomes possible, however fleetingly.
Fascinating. It seems the deeper we go into the paradox, the more questions arise. Whether these are surviving dinosaurs, unknown megafauna, or something even more esoteric, the idea challenges our understanding of life, extinction, and the very nature of reality.
Vasna, Anastasia, Tom, thank you so much for shedding light on these incredible reports and for pushing the boundaries of our conventional understanding.
My pleasure, Peter. The jungle always has more to reveal, and the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. It keeps you humble.
Thank you. It's a reminder of the mysteries still left to explore, both in nature and in human history, and that sometimes the oldest stories hold the deepest truths.
Always a delight, Peter. Keep digging into those paradoxes. That's where the real truth lies, often in the places we're told to ignore. The Amazon calls to something ancient within us, and perhaps something ancient within itself is calling back.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. The Amazon's emerald labyrinth continues to guard its secrets, and perhaps within its depths the ancestors of giants still walk.
Join us next time on Into the Paradox as we explore another thrilling mystery. Until then, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep listening.